Okay, so today we're diving into some serious legal drama, the
Okay.
kind that can actually change how we even consume information online, like forever.
Wow.
Yeah, we're talking the New York Times versus this AI upstart called Perplexity.
Okay.
And trust me, this is way bigger than just like a newspaper trying to protect its articles.
Right. Yeah. This is going to set a precedent
Exactly.
for like the future of AI and creative work. Like imagine if every time an AI model used something you wrote
Oh, wow.
to learn,
Yeah.
you got a cut.
Yeah.
That's what's at stake here.
That would be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
So, okay, hold on. Let's back up for a sec.
So,
For those who don't know, what is Perplexity?
yeah.
Basically, they're like Google,
Okay.
but on steroids. You ask a question, their AI digs up info from the web and summarizes it all nice and neat for you.
Right.
Sounds pretty handy, right?
Yeah, sure. But, well, here's the catch.
Okay.
Perplexity's AI,
Yeah.
it needs to be trained on massive amounts of data.
Makes
Like, think of it this way. It's like teaching a kid to write
okay.
by just handing them like a million books, right?
Right.
The problem is Perplexity may have borrowed some of those books
Uh-oh.
without asking the authors. And in this case, the author is the New York Times.
Exactly. And that's where this whole cease and desist thing comes in.
Yes.
Which is basically a very strongly worded letter.
Basically, yeah.
It's like lawyer speak for cut it out.
Right.
And the New York Times is accusing Perplexity of breaking a promise
Okay.
to not use their content in their AI models.
Interesting.
Like this, we had a deal, you broke it, now we're taking you to court.
Wow.
And it gets even juicier, actually.
Okay, how so?
So this isn't just about like a few random articles here and there. This is
Yeah.
about copyright law
Right.
and how it's supposed to protect creators.
Right. Yes,
But the line gets really blurry
it does.
when you start talking about AI.
Totally.
Because is it really stealing if a robot's doing the reading? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like,
It's a weird gray area.
it's a gray area, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what the New York Times wants the courts to decide.
Okay.
Is training AI on someone else's writing fair use? Or is it basically just like straight up theft?
So this case could have like a domino effect
Oh, absolutely.
on the entire tech industry.
100%.
This is huge.
Huge, yeah, because if the New York Times wins,
Yeah.
it could force every AI company out there to license every single scrap of data that they use.
Oh, wow.
Imagine the costs involved in that.
Yeah, that's
And that could really stifle innovation, especially for smaller startups.
right. They don't have those big budgets.
Exactly. They can't afford those licensing fees,
Right.
And you give like an unfair advantage to
Yeah.
the giants out there like Google.
Right, because they have all the money in the world.
Exactly.
Wow, so it's like David versus Goliath,
It really is.
but with the future of the internet hanging in the balance.
Exactly.
And to make things even more interesting, the New York Times is also involved in another major lawsuit
Oh, really?
with OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
So they're going after the company behind ChatGPT too. What's the story there? So they're going after the company behind ChatGPT too. What's the story there?
It's pretty similar, actually.
Really?
Yeah. The New York Times is saying that OpenAI also used their content
Yeah, okay.
to train ChatGPT, and they didn't ask permission or anything.
So they're seeing a pattern here
Exactly.
with these AI companies. Like,
Yeah.
we're just going to take what we want and we'll deal with the consequences later.
It's like they're using their size and their money to kind of just scoop up information without really thinking about the rules.
Yeah, it's like the New York Times is trying to draw a line in the sand.
Yeah.
For the whole media industry, like, this is not okay.
Right, exactly. They're flexing their legal muscles a little bit,
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, we're not going to be taken advantage of in this new digital world.
Right.
But it's interesting, though, because Perplexity isn't just like backing down.
Oh.
They're fighting back, and their response is kind of interesting.
Okay, what are they saying?
Well, they're proposing this revenue sharing program,
Okay.
which basically means, okay, fine, we'll pay publications
Okay.
for using their content to, train our AI.
Interesting. Is that like a common thing? Do a lot of companies do that?
It's becoming more common, actually, yeah.
Okay.
Because, think about it. Publications, they don't want their stuff used for free, right?
Right.
So this revenue sharing thing, it's kind of like a compromise.
Okay.
AI companies get access to this valuable data,
Yeah.
but they got to give something back to the people who created it.
Makes sense.
And Perplexity isn't alone in this.
Really?
Yeah, other publications are making similar deals.
Like who?
Well, The Atlantic and Vox Media, for example,
Okay.
they both struck deals with OpenAI.
Interesting. So we're seeing a shift
Yeah, it seems like it.
where these outlets are realizing, okay, we can't just fight this technology.
Right.
We've got to find a way to work with it.
It's like a balancing act,
Yeah.
trying to adapt to this new world while still protecting what's theirs.
It makes you wonder, though, is this revenue sharing thing really genuine?
Yeah,
Or is it just a PR move to get people off their back?
right, because it could be both, right?
Yeah,
They might be trying to make things right, but they also want to avoid more lawsuits.
of course.
It's hard to know their true intentions.
So where does that leave, like, the average person?
That's the big question.
Yeah, like, why should we care about this?
Well, think about how much of your life is influenced by what you read online.
Right. Yeah, pretty much everything.
Right, exactly. So this case, it could determine whether AI helps us be more creative,
Okay,
or if it just becomes another way for big companies to control information.
that's a good point.
It's really about who has the power.
So it's like a double-edged sword.
Exactly.
On the one hand, AI could revolutionize how we create and consume content.
Right.
But on the other hand, it could be used to exploit artists and writers.
Absolutely. And that's the heart of this debate, right?
Yeah.
How do we balance the potential of AI with the need to protect creators?
Right.
These lawsuits are just the beginning.
Right.
As AI gets more advanced, these questions are going to get even more complicated.
It's a lot to think about. It really is a lot to process.
It is.
So we're at this, like, crossroads
Yeah.
where AI could either, like, lead to this amazing boom in creativity,
Right.
or it could totally stifle it.
Yeah.
So what happens next? Like, where do we go from here?
Well, that's the big question.
Right.
And honestly, the outcome of these lawsuits, it could change everything.
Yeah.
You mentioned that article earlier.
Yeah.
The one that said, all this will shape future regulations and industry norms.
Right. Right.
Like, this isn't just about the New York Times versus some AI companies, wrist.
Right.
This could determine how AI is allowed to even interact with information.
That's true.
Like, period, across the board.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's setting a precedent.
Exactly.
Like, what happens here will probably impact how all sorts of things play out in the future.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. From how new technologies are developed
Right.
to just, like, the way we experience the internet on a daily basis.
That's crazy.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And think about it this way, like, imagine a future where AI is actually helping journalists.
Okay.
Like, they're using it to go through tons of data, find hidden stuff.
Oh, wow.
Or artists are using AI to make totally new kinds of art.
That would be cool.
Right.
Yeah.
But then there's the flip side.
Right.
What if all these legal battles end up actually holding everything back?
Yeah.
What if only the companies with, like, mountains of money?
Right. The Googles of the world.
Exactly. What if they're the only ones who can actually afford to use AI?
It's almost like we're back to, like, the whole printing press debate, Totally.
Is it good? Is it bad?
Yeah. Like, is it a tool for good or evil?
Exactly.
And we're still figuring that out,
Centuries later.
No,
And we're still...
Exactly. It's not really about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about us and how we decide to use it.
Okay, so that's why these lawsuits are important.
Exactly.
They're forcing us to actually have this conversation.
100%.
So as we're, wrapping up this whole deep dive here,
Yeah.
what's the one thing you really want our listeners to take away from this?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that this isn't just some tech industry thing.
Right.
This is about all of us,
Yeah.
It's about the future of information, the future of creativity.
So stay informed, everybody.
Yes, please.
Ask questions.
Absolutely.
Think about the role you want AI to play in your life,
100%.
both as, someone who uses it and maybe even someone who creates with it.
Yeah, because this conversation, it's not going away anytime soon.
Not at all.
So we all need to be a part of it. Absolutely. Great point. And on that note, that's it for this deep dive.